Welcome back to the Immigration Answers Show. My name is Jim Hacking. I'm an immigration lawyer. We have offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. This is episode number 247 of the Immigration Answers Show. And I think today is a first. It's our first repeat guest on the show. It is the supervising attorney with the most flair, the most good sense, the most sensible and nice attorney you'd ever want to meet, our very own Andrew Bloomberg. Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. You've had a busy day today. Andrew goes to a lot of meetings. That's all I know.
Yeah, you're in some of them. You're not in most of them. I have a lot of meetings. It's fun to do something like this and kind of change the pace a little bit.
All right. Well, I wanted to talk to you about an issue that I raised at the top of yesterday's show, and that is, and I've been talking it through with the marketing team, is I'm sort of getting frustrated with people making dumb mistakes because they didn't hire a lawyer or didn't even talk to a lawyer before they filed. I'm trying to be nice and I'm trying to be positive when I talk to people, but it's getting harder and harder. Maybe I'm getting older and more frustrated, but it just seems like people are really doing some dumb things, and that partly keeps us in business. But at the same time, it's just really sad when avoidable mistakes could have been fixed with a little bit of guidance.
Yeah, I think that's definitely frustrating. And I think that there's people out there who have a little bit of a mindset with the current administration. And this is just a little theory I have that
Mm.
everything got easier and everything got better. And things definitely did get better along the fringes, more than that. But I think people have an assumption, oh, the new guard has been in town for a couple of years and all bets are off and everything's okay, and that everything's going to be fine and they might not need to hire an attorney because of that. And that's definitely not the case. It's the same folks adjudicating the cases at USCIS. They're still they're still out to get people a little bit with a little bit of a friendlier face in some instances. So I definitely see that. And I think you're right. I think there might be something in the water a little bit that more people are trying to go it alone and getting themselves into some trouble doing that.
I hadn't really thought of it in the light that you just framed it with the Biden team. But one thing that occurs to me along those lines is that the thing about the Trump team is they brought in some really bad dudes, some really evil people, and they had a laundry list of changes to make on day one, and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't take the foot off the gas for 4 years straight. And the Biden team is slowly trying to fix things, trying to speed cases up a little bit. It's not nearly the same breakneck speed we saw the other direction for four full years.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that is because the Biden immigration team is a lot of the people that were here under Obama. And I just think they don't fully understand the scope of the destruction that the Trump team and Jeff Sessions and all those guys did.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right. And you see who had immigration as a higher priority.
Mm-hmm.
And in obviously in the opposite direction from how we would have wanted it to be a priority, but it was definitely a priority for them. And it's just not the case. It wasn't the case under Obama, and it's not the case under Biden either, I don't think.
And the other thing too, that point you made about, things are easier so people think they can go it alone. I would take a slightly different tact. I would say to myself, we have 4 years. Donald Trump might come back. Ron DeSantis might be president. You never know who's going to be the best president. So if you have a chance to come out of the dark and get some immigration squared away, now's the time to do it. And you don't want to be screwing it up and carrying over into the next administration.
I think that's absolutely right. Get it done fast, apply for whatever benefit you can apply for. And if it's taking too long, call us up and we'll sue them for you. We're just as happy, as you know better than I do, we are just as happy to sue the Biden administration as we were to sue the Trump administration.
And one last thing, just for everybody knows. So two people who called the show yesterday called the office today and said, I didn't know I was on YouTube. I didn't know I was on Facebook. I honestly don't know how that's possible, especially when one of the two of them, I said, you're a former client. Are you sure you want to talk here? And she said yes and proceeded. So I don't really understand, but there it is. We're going to run that a lot more often because we have to cut up the show when people don't want to be on. We take them down, but it's really a hassle, and it makes for a sloppy sloppy output on the back end. All right, you ready to take some calls, Andrew?
Let's do it.
All right, let's say hi to Angela. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
This is my first time to the show, so I have a question. I'm trying to keep it short. So my son met a young lady in North Carolina. She came over with her parents with her dad when she was 8. He met her when she was 16. They ended up going back over to Mexico to renew her visa, but I think she came in on a B1, B2. So she was not able to renew the visa, and in the meantime, they ended up having a baby, which was born in September of 17. Because the child had dual citizenship, she wasn't able to take care of the child, so my son and I flew over and brought the child here. They had filed a K1, which was approved, and in February of 18, and she had her interview in April of 18, which was denied because they said that she overstayed.
Right.
But I thought that they would forgive it because she was young when it happened. And I think in between that they broke up. So it's been like 2 years, and they decided to rekindle their relationship, and they ended up getting married in June of this year. And he filed the I-130. So the child is here with me. She'll be 5 soon, but I just want to know if they get approved and she have to go to immigration for her interview, what type of issues she may face since she's already had the I-29 denied, but now that she's married.
Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, so she is, just to clarify, she is currently in Mexico, correct?
She is, yes.
Okay, and how old was she when she left the U.S. to go back to Mexico?
She was, I think, 15, because she had my granddaughter at 16.
Okay. I think the grounds of inadmissibility that they raised, the overstay, did they, just to be clear, at the interview, do you remember the exact terminology? Did they say inadmissible because of the overstay?
No, what she said they told her was that they were going to give her a 1-year probation or something, so she would have to wait a year. But in between that time, they ended up, I guess because of the distance, they broke up, and she didn't try to come over, but she decided that she wanted to work it out with him. So they got back together and ended up getting married this year.
I'm curious about the 1-year probation thing, because that doesn't sound, and you're not supposed to be accruing unlawful presence for time when you're under 18. I'm curious about the 1-year probation thing. Jim, does that sound like an unlawful presence issue to you?
It sounds like a drug issue to me.
It does. It sounds like what they tell you when on your immigration medical exam you have a positive test for something, and they
you admitted drug use, yeah.
or you admitted drug use, and they make you go back a year later and have a clean result.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
So to answer the direct question, I think that a few years removed from that, if she processed the case like a normal marriage-based case, and this actually gets to an issue, which if there's an option, we always these days push people to do marriage-based cases rather than fiance-based cases if you have the option to go there and get married. If it's not an option, you file what you can. But it should go forward like a normal marriage-based case, which, as a lot of people listening to this know, I'm sure, are moving very slowly at the consulate in Ciudad Juarez right now. But it should go forward normally. And if the medical exam is clear now, and if there's no tests and no recent drug use, which again is, I think, both of our theories, it sounds like, about what happened, then it should be going forward normally, although I'm sure they will have questions about the previous test. So
Right.
I foresee some issues coming up at that interview, but it should, or the medical exam and the interview, but it should get to that point in a relatively straightforward way, it sounds like. And then they will have questions about the previous case and the relationship, but that fact pattern you just said in and of itself is not that strange, where people have a relationship, it doesn't work out, and they get back together. We see that all the time.
Especially when there's a kid.
Especially when there's a kid.
Okay.
When did they file? When did they file, Angela, the I-130
July 12th.
of this year?
Yes,
And did they do that with an attorney or without an attorney?
with an attorney.
And I mean, that's going to take just USCIS to approve it probably a year. And then you're talking Juarez, then you're waiting probably another year for that interview. And then you have the issue of the drug use or whatever the 1 year probation was.
Probation was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to kind of let her know, because I'm not familiar with any of this. So I want to kind of let her know, where she is and what may happen so she can prepare herself.
Yeah, and I would definitely encourage her and your son to do a FOIA to get all their documents so that you can see what's in the file from the old case. I would try to get whatever you can from the State Department. They should have given her a refusal notice. If I'm the lawyer, I'm drilling down on all that stuff even before I file the I-130.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it.
You got it. Have a great. Oh,
no.
do you have something else?
No, that'll be it.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Well, that was an interesting. That's interesting. The 1 year that maybe she didn't want to tell him what the real issue was when she got refused.
Yep, and we've definitely seen that before too.
Yeah. All right. Looks like JJ's been watching for a while. What do you say, JJ?
Yeah. Hi. How are you?
Doing well.
Thanks for having me. I want to ask a question pertaining to traveling as a green card holder. I'm a green card holder as a result of asylum status. And my question is, can I use or can I apply for a passport from my home country, or do I have to use the refugee travel document provided by USCIS? Because there's a lot of different opinions regarding this.
And just to be clear, you wouldn't be planning on traveling to your home country, correct?
No.
I'm curious what Jim has to say about this, but we've seen people renew their passports from their home country while applying for asylum or with asylum. And as long as you're not planning on going to that country and you can show that you're not going to that country, I don't think that in and of itself is a huge problem. Now, if you want to avoid even having to potentially answer questions about that, like when you go to apply for citizenship or coming into or out of the country, I think a refugee passport would probably be safer. But I don't think it's going to put you in a terrible situation if you do that.
Yeah, because it's not like I'm availing myself to the protection of my country. Like, I don't really care about my country. It's just sometimes the passport of the country is more convenient and the validity is much longer than the 1 year refugee travel document.
How long have you had your green card?
Almost since 2019.
So really, you're talking about one reentry permit before you can apply for citizenship. I would just, you're this close. I would just, so as to not give them any issue to bitch at you about at the naturalization interview, I think I would lean towards the reentry permit.
Yeah, because it's just 1 year, and then I can apply for citizenship.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's been really tough finding answers to all this. Like, there's no clear answers, like even to like what countries you can travel to as someone who has asylum. It's like, it's really country case by case. And
you mean as far as who will let you in or how it affects your status in the United States?
I think like who would let me in, yes, and whether you need a visa to other countries or not, like, because sometimes you need to travel for different purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, JJ. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, I'm going to ask you a question that somebody asked yesterday. I didn't know the answer, and I told them that we'd figure it out. So it's an interesting case. I-130, 45, 765, 131. Then the couple splits up and the spouse applies for an I-360. The advance parole and the EAD are approved before they file the 360. Is the advance parole still valid off the I-130, or do they need to apply for new advance parole?
Off the top of my head, my thought would be they'd need to apply for a new advanced parole. Like an advanced parole and an EAD from a previous application is tied to that application. Now, whether or not CBP would know that is a different question, but I think it would make me very, very, very nervous to travel on that. And I think that they would need a new one. And definitely the safer thing would be to just apply for the new one and rely on that.
Yep. Perfect. Thanks, bud.
Mhm.
All right. Ola's been waiting for a while. Hi, Ola.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Jim. Thank you for picking my call. 4 weeks ago, I considered you. Thank you for your advice then. But I need to clarify something. My wife, since she has been in US, she's a green card holder 10 years. You told me 4 weeks ago she can file for me, but I discovered that she is not working. There's a reason attached to that. She only worked since she has been in US just for 6 months. After 6 months, she stopped working based on the instruction of her children. I asked her what the reason. Then she gave me the reason that before the 3 children came to US, she suffered a lot for them in Nigeria. And when she traveled here from 4 years ago, she got retired in Nigeria. And when she get here, the children said they don't want her to work. Though I know the children supported her. When she gets here, so a few months after she get there, they bought a house for her. We the same house we are staying. But since she is not working, at the 10 years green card, can she still fight for me? Though I'm working, I've been sponsoring the farm, but I'm not paying any rent because the children bought a house for her. That's where we are living together.
So the question is, can a green card holding spouse file for their spouse and be the sponsor even though they're not working? That's the question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'll take this one, Andrew, and then you can chime in.
Okay.
So the green card holder is always the sponsor, always the sponsor. So you're going to need to make sure that even if she wasn't working, that she filed tax returns for the last 3 years, right? Like the part of the immigration process is they use the immigration process to make sure that people are paying their taxes, and filing tax returns. So even if she hasn't filed a tax return for the last 3 years, she's going to need to file that, and you're going to need to include that in the affidavit of support. Now, if she's not working, you're going to need to find a U.S. citizen or a green card holder to be the joint sponsor. So the spouse is always the main sponsor, and then there's the possibility for a joint sponsor.
Okay. Really, on the tax I filed for the past 3 years since we've got wedded, I've been included. I will file as a joint. We fight together as a couple for the past 3 years. So
well, that's good, but nobody cares for the purposes of this. Nobody cares how much money you make.
okay.
But it is good that you're filing jointly as a piece of relationship evidence.
We've been doing that since we got married 3.5 years ago. We've been doing that.
How did she get her green card?
She got it through her first son.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And she came to US for by December this year. She came to US 4 years ago. She'll be 4 years in US.
And are you inside Ola in the United States, or are you outside the United States?
Jim, you forgot me. I'm inside. I told you I apply as asylum.
Got it.
Almost it will be almost 5 years by November this year.
And when is she eligible for citizenship?
Based on what you told me 5 years. But by December this year she'll be 4 years.
Okay. So she's got about another year until she can apply.
Yes, sir.
So then, Ola, I don't know if we talked about this last time. You might remember. I mean, I talk to people every day, so I don't remember anything. Did you file for asylum before your status was up, or after your status was up?
After my status expired.
So that means when he filed for asylum, he was out of status. So I don't know if you can adjust through a green card holding spouse, Andrew.
I think that's right. I think you're going to have to wait till she's a citizen.
Okay.
I mean, he could file the I-130.
You could get the I-130 approved, and then you'd have that sitting in your back pocket. And if for whatever reason they put you in removal proceedings, you'd at least have they refer the asylum case or something like that. Then you'd have the I-130 approved potentially. Although they're taking so long to approve LPR I-130s these days that it might still be pending when she naturalizes.
But that's okay. Then you
But
just
you'd at least
upgrade
start
it.
the clock. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Ola. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, we're having fun. We're giving out tidbits left and right. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm
All right.
enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's say hi to Ahmed. Hi, Ahmed.
Hey Jim, hey Andrew, how you guys
Hi.
doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I have one question for you, Jim. My green card expires in January 26, 2023. So what should be the right date to file to remove the conditions?
When does it expire?
Is January 26, 2023, next year?
So you can apply December, November, October 26th this year.
It should be like right
Right,
on
Andrew?
like 26th of
Yeah,
October
so-
or just
so-
after?
90 days before, whatever 90 days before it expires. So just to be clear, you're still married to the spouse through whom you got the conditional green card?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so then it's just the expiration date minus 90 days. So if I was good at math, I wouldn't have gone to law school. But December,
That's what I just
November,
did.
October. Yeah.
So
So
I'd say
late
November
October.
1st. File it on November 1st. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and you can
That-
start working on it now. You can start working on the process now, gather the
Yeah.
evidence, get everything together, because sometimes they'll do interviews for these, but a lot of times lately they're not. So if you just hammer them with tons and tons of evidence right at the start, you decrease the chances of an interview.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
All right. Have a
All right,
good one.
thanks,
Thank
Ahmed.
you
That
for
was
that.
easy. All right. Prashanti's here.
Hi.
Hi.
Just a quick question about like traveling. I'm on OPT right now, and I've just heard a lot of things about like traveling in OPT, whether it's recommended or not, and I just wanted to know if it's like fine to travel while I am still on OPT visa.
Is your visa itself still valid, or would you need a new visa stamp?
No, it is valid. Like it just like recently started. I mean, my visa expires on 2026, but then I'm on like OPT.
Right.
So the visa in your passport, it expires in
Mhm.
2026?
Yeah.
Okay. And then are you at the end of OPT, the beginning of OPT?
Kind of like the beginning. I mean, couple months.
So you still have a lot of time left on OPT.
Yeah, about maybe 9 to 10 months.
And are you
But
eligible for the STEM extension? Sorry to interrupt. Are you
Sorry?
are you eligible for the STEM extension?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think you should be okay, don't you, Andrew?
I agree. Where people are having problems, I think, are one, if there's anything kind of sketchy or weird going on with their OPT employers, like those people who pay companies for training that are just running
Mhm.
OPT factories. I've seen those people have problems coming into the country. And then people who need to make stamping appointments, the embassies are very slow at scheduling those in a lot of places. But if you have a valid visa and you just started, you should be okay. Don't go for months at a time, right? Because then they might have some
Yeah.
suspicions about the job. But I think you should be okay.
All right. Even when, like, at the time of traveling, if I had just filed for like my extension, so before that comes in, like, is it okay?
For your STEM extension?
Yes. Like,
So you
if
need
I'm
to-
traveling towards the end of like this one,
Yeah,
like,
then I
let's say
would,
like 90 days.
no, I would not.
Yeah.
I would either go now or go
Mhm.
after you get your STEM extension.
Okay, so if like my STEM extension is supposed to come like let's say June ends and I start filing like March, I should not travel during like March.
Right.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Bye, Prashanti.
Yeah.
All right. We're just flying through. We're answering lots of
Yeah.
questions today. Andrew is awesome as co-host. I agree. How about that? Maybe he could even step in for me on days that I'm on vacation. That would be great. All right. Let's say hi to CJ.
Hey guys, I didn't have a specific question this time around, but I had a comment regarding what you've been talking about at the top of the past two shows in terms of either people didn't get legal advice or not handling their cases in the best way. My first there seems to be no shortage of poor legal advice out there, even for people that in good faith try to get the best answer they can. There are a lot of bad lawyers in general, but there are also plenty of bad immigration lawyers. And so my suggestion might be maybe a video you do where how to evaluate a lawyer, or something might be helpful to folks who, obviously they're trying to hire somebody that supposedly knows what to do. And it just sucks when people, get bad advice and they didn't really, they try to rely on the professional, even though they try to do everything right.
Great.
The second thing is that I've been watching, the past couple of months, and I think to Andrew's earlier point, there can kind of whatever they want at the wall. And
can you say that again, or
CJ?
You got buffered there for a second.
Sure. I was saying that I've been watching the show past couple of weeks, and there seem to be a lot of individuals who are, think it's maybe it's the way they work in their home country or whatnot, but they can, file 5 asylum cases or try to adjust on a national interest waiver off a tourist visa. Or
that was on Monday.
Yes, that was and of course the gentleman couldn't explain exactly what his endeavor was, which was really interesting. So granted, in your position, I've heard you say before, you fight for immigrants, and you try to take the position that if someone needs help, you try to help. But I can certainly sympathize with your position when people are trying to, for lack of a better term, game the system. It, as you said, it makes it harder for everybody else to try and do it the right way. And it's just a shame that, that there just seems to be more and more of that. So, there's obviously no good solution, but I wanted to just throw my words of support that I think you're very patient with those individuals and try to help in the best way you can. But it is unfortunate that those things exist.
Thank you, CJ. Anybody who's been watching the show for like the last 3 or 4 weeks, it does seem to me there's been an uptick in silliness and dumb stuff. And
completely agree. Yeah.
Andrew, this guy, he landed on a visit visa. He immediately filed for a EB-2 with a national interest waiver. And I asked him 3 different ways and 3 different times, like, well, what do you do? What is the work that you're doing that's in the national interest of the United States? And it was like deer in the headlights. Like he didn't even know what I was talking about. Like,
yikes.
We've heard before about attorneys having filed asylum cases for people just to really get them an EAD, a work card.
Right.
And this had all the feelings of that. Not that this guy was even gonna get a work card, because he got the I-140 got denied because the lawyer. Now, whether they're even a lawyer, you don't know. But man, there's just there. And so CJ is talking about yesterday. I was talking about, well, I'm sort of getting frustrated with people and all this repeated silliness, and that I'm wondering out loud whether I need to change my message a little bit to be a little bit harder on people in a respectful way, but like to push them to say, here's example 6,712 about why you don't hire a notario, or here's a reason why you don't do this alone, why you don't go to
just don't lie. Is really, there's a, I'm going about this poorly, and then there's a complete, I am trying to game the system. I think there's two, and sometimes you can really tell. Like you had another person the other day call about that they got their visa revoked after they spent 5.5 months on a B2. They said they had some type of business in the U.S. or something, and then the State Department found out there was no such business, or they were part of the visa advisors that fill out whatever. And she, at the same time, was trying to get back. She was asking if I could apply for another tourist visa to get back. So anyway, my point is I support you. Especially because this is a public show, trying to make sure that people understand that, you say the one wrong thing, the State Department, whether you fill out the form or not. It can literally ruin your life.
Yeah, I mean that was yesterday. The guy said, I didn't fill out my DS-160. I paid these guys around the embassy to fill it out, and it was news to me when they told my wife that I was already married, and that was yesterday too.
The worst part is that person didn't seem to understand that I mean, I don't think he understood what you were saying. Like, no, this is a real issue. This isn't like you just have to convince them you're not married.
Either way, you've backed yourself into a corner.
It never registered.
Yeah.
He never got it. He was like, well, it wasn't me. But that's your case. That's your click box. So anyway, CJ, thanks so much for the call, man. We really appreciate it.
Talk to you guys soon. See ya.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, it's been interesting around here. I thought it was just me, but man, it's Adela was saying everything about the full moon, but the full moon was a while ago. So I don't know, man. It's just I don't think necessarily people are filing 5 asylum cases, but I do think what he talks about is something that we've seen. Like you and I have both had consults where somebody's just throwing out every possibility of how to stay, and they want to file them all at the same time, and there's like no clear-headed thought about this is what we're doing and this is why. Like that laser approach.
Well, and I think that the paths are pretty narrow. I wish, soapbox for 5 seconds. I wish the paths were a lot less narrow for how to do this, but the paths are pretty narrow, and people can get to a position where they're, I think, pretty desperate to make something happen, and that path might not exist for them. And if you have a lawyer or a notario who's saying, hey, I have a magic solution to you to get you a path, that's something you need to be very, very, very skeptical about.
And, I made a video about this the other day, is that, in the old days, it was extremely rare that USCIS had the wherewithal to go back and get your DS-160s. It just didn't happen. But now it's either instantaneous, or if your case has been significantly delayed, that's probably why, because they're going to the State Department to get those documents, and they almost have it at their fingertips. And a lot of times they're not scheduling the interview until they get it. And in many, many, many ways, we're seeing many more cases affected by things that the beneficiary said at an embassy before this whole marriage case was even a thing.
And not just going to the State Department, but going to the local court that handled your divorce back in your home country, going deeper than the State Department. It's not just different parts of the US government that are managing to talk to each other in ways that they might not have had as easy of a time doing in the past. They're going to look at the stuff on the ground in your home country too. It's getting pretty serious out there.
Yep. All right. Well, let's see what Masood has to say.
Hi, Zim. Hi, Andrew.
Hi,
Masood. How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you? Zim, remember you came during my interview, and I got green card last year, September. So thank you and your team.
Of
course.
I
have a question. So can I apply a green card for my parents, since I have like almost a year green card? Because one of my friends was saying, you can apply, but the process will be faster if you apply after your citizenship, which is like after 5 years or so. So I was not sure. So I thought if you could give some answer.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, green card holders can't petition for their parents. So you have to be a U.S. citizen over 21 to petition for your parents to get a green card.
Okay. So there is no option at all.
No.
There's no visa.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, Masood. See you, bud. Good seeing you. All right. Let's say hi to Olu.
Hi, Olu.
Hello, good afternoon. Nice to be connected at last.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, my inquiry is actually about a show you made a few days ago about getting relief for those in deportation proceedings. Actually, I have an approval I-130 already, and I want to know how to take advantage of it so that my case can be removed from the court so that I can apply for my 485.
This is Andrew's specialty. You got the right guy. You got the right guy on the phone for this one. Oh, Andrew, why don't you walk him through his timeline a little bit?
Yeah. So first of all, what is the category of the I-130? Who's the petitioner?
My wife, a U.S. citizen.
Okay. And have you applied for any other forms of relief in removal?
No.
And how did you find yourself in removal proceedings?
Well, I actually applied for a change of status to F1 status. But to my surprise, I was told it was actually approved, and I never got an approval notice.
So basically an overstay or a visa status violation is how you ended up in removal proceedings?
Yeah.
Okay. So and last question, do you have an attorney that you're working with in deportation proceedings?
No.
Okay. Basically, my understanding from, we've done a few of these cases, not a ton, but we've done a few of these cases, is that you have the approved I-130, you have a marriage to a U.S. citizen. If you're otherwise adjustable, if you don't have any criminal convictions, if you don't have any kind of repeat status violations or entries after unlawful presence or anything like that, generally, it seems like right now ICE is agreeing to admin close these cases or let USCIS process it. Now, the ones that I've seen personally that I've worked on have been cases where the I-485 was already on file. It was on file with the court, and then the court just closes the case and kicks it back to USCIS to actually adjudicate it. So I think that same principle would apply. If you can convince ICE basically, hey, look, I'm a person of good moral character, I have this relationship, here's this evidence, I'm not dangerous, all these things, I think that your odds are pretty decent of getting ICE to agree to that, just in the current environment. I think you definitely don't want to be doing that on your own. You definitely want to be doing that with an attorney. But I think that should be a path forward for you, assuming that you have lots of marriage evidence, assuming that there's no problems with the marriage, things like that. But yeah, either with USCIS if they'll close it, but even if they don't, I think you'd probably have a pretty clear path to adjustment with the court. Jim, do you have anything you want to throw in there?
I was just going to say, when you had that case in LA and the judge they were giving out prosecutorial discretion like candy, and your case got, I think, admin closed. Mm-hmm. I hadn't thought through that. I think most of the cases I've had like that too also had the 485 on file. I guess at the very least they would say, yeah, we might consent to this, but you gotta fee in the 485 first.
You might need to do that. You might need to get the 485 on file with the court, and there's a whole process for doing that in deportation court. You file it with you file with USCIS, you pay the biometrics fee and the fee to USCIS, you give the court a copy, of the fee receipt and the biometrics. And then you might want to do that.
Okay, I already filed by 485 when I applied for my I-130.
Oh, okay. With the court?
No, with the USCIS.
Did it get receipted?
No, I was actually placed in administrative closure because I was already in deportation proceedings.
Okay, so
actually, when I went for the I-30 interview, what the officer just told me was that everything about my case checks out. He has no objection to granting me my green card. All I just needed to do was just to get my case out of the court system, and he will grant me my green card because, according to him, he already did all these background checks already, and everything checked out.
So when's your next court date?
That should be sometimes in April next year.
So yeah, and which court is it?
In Chicago.
Yeah, so you need a lawyer to help you. I mean, sometimes the lawyer has to like wave their hands and yell and scream and try to get attention from everybody to get it rolled, especially before that April court date, just because they have so many cases, it's hard to get them to pay attention. But an attorney, I mean, we can do this for you. We've done it in Chicago a couple of times. We would reach out to DHS counsel, find out what the current guidelines are on when they admin close or terminate for adjustment, and then just go through that process and sort of be a squeaky wheel and trying to get them to do it so that USCIS can take jurisdiction back over the 485 and then you're done.
Okay, so how long will this process take?
It depends. I mean, Chicago's really busy, so in theory, you might not get the attention of them until the court date, so that's possible. And number two, even if you do, then you're back at USCIS Chicago, and the question is, how long of a backlog are they going to handle on that? And so I think you're talking a year and a half, 2 years.
No, okay.
But it all starts with an attorney reaching out to ICE counsel to try to end the deportation so that you can adjust with USCIS. I love these cases. These are fun.
Okay, that's
I
my
agree.
question.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
All right, thank you.
All right. That's Chicago. I had that judge. I had an approved I-130. I had a judge for that guy from Milwaukee. I think you went to the interview eventually.
Yeah. Yep.
It took me I had to file 3 motions to get it closed out so that he could adjust with you in Milwaukee.
Yeah, every time somebody brings up a case like that, I'm kind of crossing my fingers that they're in California where the courts are just doing it on their own.
Yeah, right. All right, buddy. Let's say hi to Bonev. Hi, Bonev.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Great.
Doing well.
Okay, so my question is I went for 2 interviews, I went on a fraud interview as well, but for the second time, and they didn't give me a decision. It's been already 1 year after the second interview. The case has been pending since it's been already, I think, 2 years, maybe more. I'll lie to you, 2.5 years, 3 years.
That's a long time.
What should I do? Should I wait or?
Why did you mention the word fraud?
Because that's what my lawyer told me. I went for the first interview, right? And then 7 months later, we went for a second interview. And they separate us. They ask us questions separately.
What
So
field
they told me
office was this, out of curiosity?
It was in Las Vegas, Nevada.
And did the attorney go with you to the interview?
Yes, she came. Yeah, she came with me, yes.
And did they ask you a lot of those gotcha questions, like what color is the carpet in the bathroom?
Yeah, they asked me stuff like that. And I think where they got me is it was something on my DS when I was filing for the visa. I used to date this girl, and then I'm pretty sure I put she was just my girlfriend, but they asked me, have you ever committed to a common law marriage, or have you ever had a common law marriage wife? And I didn't even know what that means. And then they said, but who is Priscilla Ivanova? I'm like, I don't. Oh, that's a girl I used to date long time ago, And they said, have you ever lived with her? I said, no. And the guy's like, but why did you put her as a common law life? And I told him I don't remember. That was 6 years ago.
So that was on your DS 160 to come to the US?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why they're sitting on your case.
Yeah. Yep. Because in their mind, I think you might have a few problems. I think one, they might be suspicious of your current relationship, but I think they also might be trying to get you for misrepresentation to get your initial visa to come here.
Okay, right? But why they're not denying it, or?
Because there's lots of
reasons. Why they're waiting for so long?
One is that they think you might get divorced, and they wait long enough, the marriage is going to fall apart. They don't have to give you a green card. The other one is the longer that they wait, the more trouble you're going to be in if they deny it. Yeah, so this is interesting. So did you hired someone?
You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Did you hire someone to file your DS-160? Did someone else file it for you?
I think, I'm not pretty sure. I think the company that I work for, they filed it.
And they probably asked him who his girlfriend was.
Mm-hmm.
And he said,
yeah, I just say I have a girlfriend, but I don't remember putting her as a common law marriage wife,
Well, here's the thing. How old were you when you got your visit visa?
I was told when I entered the country.
When you got the visa, when you went to the embassy to get the visa, how old were you?
24. I'm 32 now.
Yeah, they usually don't give visas to 24-year-old single men to come to the United States. They only give them to married people because they think they're going to come back to be with their wife. So their argument would be, we never would have given you the visa if you had told us the truth and not lied and said you were in a common law marriage. So
yeah.
Your company really screwed you. Do you understand?
So It's kind of still breaking up. Let me try to move a little bit somewhere. So
I think we were just talking about this, weren't we?
they can stay on the case for like. They can stay on the case for years, right? Like it can be pending for a long time.
Yeah, and if you sued them, they would say, "Oh, okay, well," they would either deny the I-130 and say you're still married to that lady Priscilla, and if they do that, you're really screwed. Otherwise, they just say you lied and it's a misrepresentation and you can get a waiver for it. But either way, you're in sort of a lot of trouble when it comes to immigration because you're going to need a lawyer, you're going to need a lot of extra work, and you're going to have to show that it would be an extreme hardship for your spouse if you get deported back home. So it's a big old mess.
And then I have another question. So okay, so this is pretty hard. I understand. So I had like maybe it was 9 months. So I had it 3 times. My wife one time she hit me with like with those massage rollers like after a workout. And then one time she squeezed me for my balls, and the last time she threw something at me, and then I filed a police report. What if I file for a VAWA?
This is why they're waiting to approve your case, because they're waiting for you and the spouse to fall apart. Then they can go to the spouse and say, "Hey, did he pay you to get you a green card?" That's anyway. Whether there's a VAWA case there,
it was breaking up the conversation.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch the recording or something, Bona, because we're coming through just fine. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, I think that they're very possibly. I think what Jim's right. I think they're waiting for a divorce. They also might be trying to track down people who know you and do interviews. That's something they do. It takes them a while to do that. The cases I've seen where it's taken them like 2 or 3 years to issue a 10 or 11 page notice of intent to deny. It takes them a while to build up that case and talk to people and investigate, as we were talking about earlier on the show, talk to the State Department. So that's I think Jim's right about what's going on. Are the two of you still together?
So the whole conversation break up. Maybe I can just watch it when you upload it, because I couldn't hear anything you said.
All right, Bonev, good luck, buddy. All right, I just think his connection's bad. He's gonna have to watch the replay. Let's say hi to Maria. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Maria.
You're on mute. She's on mute, and now she's frozen. Y'all got to pay your internet bills. She looks happy, though. We'll put her back in the...
I like the little "you're on mute" siren at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
that's helpful.
Hooli can't wait. Hooli's like itching to tell people that they're on mute. Let's say hi to Abdul. Hi, Abdul.
Hey, assalamu alaikum, Jim. Hey, Andrew, how are you doing, guys?
Hi, good.
Thank you for taking my call.
Walaikum salam. Good.
Hey, Jim, I got a question. You know that I came back from the service, and my case is still going for the citizenship naturalization, and it's been 6 months, and my friends who applied from Army, they already got the citizenship, but I applied.
Man, we're having some reception problems today.
Yeah. Abdul looks like he might be driving a truck, so I wonder if he went into a bit of a dead zone.
No, he's sitting. He wasn't driving, but we don't let people come on the show if they're driving.
Well, that's good.
Hi, Faisal.
Hey, Jim. Hey, Andrew.
Hi.
Jim, I called you like 2 months back. Like you suggest me like in the interview to tell about the parking tickets, citizenship interview, and yeah, you were right. And she asked me about that, and I told her like the parking, and it was good.
Awesome.
And about you guys were discussing about DS-160 or tourist visa. So in the naturalization interview, when I get there, yesterday I had my interview after 4 months after applying in Long Island, New York. And she told me like, did you apply any visa back in 2011? I said, yes, I wanted to visit my mom. And that time I had my green card, my father petitioned for me and the application was pending. And they said, all right, what was the reason? I said, all right, I wanted to visit my mother. That's about it. And the visa officer refused me and said, you'll get there very soon. Don't worry about it. And I went home. And after the interview, everything went fine. She was a good lady, and everything went fine. And after the interview, she gave me N652, and one mark is you passed the English test, history, and all that. Another one says, congratulations, your application has been recommended for approval. So is that everything all right?
What was the date that happened?
What you mean? What date?
The interview. When was your interview?
Yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
And so you're asking me if I think you're going to get your citizenship? Is that the question?
Yeah, like I didn't get any update in the online account yet, but I
don't believe that. I don't. that thing's ridiculous. Yeah, it sounds like everything went okay. Which field office? Which field office?
Long Island, Hartsville, Long Island.
I hate that place. Yeah, I think you're good. I think
she said like everything looks good. I recommended for the final approval from the supervisor or something like that. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's official until you have that actual naturalization certificate in your hand. But they're not usually, the last few interviews I've been at, they haven't even told people recommended for approval, even for very straightforward cases. So if they told you that,
yeah,
it's not final, but that's a very good sign.
Yeah, she told me like for the supervisor approval. And I have one more question. If I get married like next year in Bangladesh and wanted to bring someone like my wife, what's the procedure from you guys? Like you guys do start to finish, or like I get married and apply for myself, then you guys involve?
No, it's better. It's better if we do it start to finish. Andrew, why don't you walk him through that, because you did that for so long?
Yeah. So yeah, I did a lot of our consular cases. So basically, you get married, and you can get married over there. Really, you can get married anywhere where the marriage is legally recognized. It's obviously most people do that in the home country of their spouse. File the I-130 with USCIS. That's going to sit. Hopefully, those processing times get faster again. But as of right now, that's going to sit for probably around a year, unfortunately. And then it switches from USCIS to the State Department. That's where you do the financial sponsorship. That's where you do some updated marriage evidence. She'd have to get a police certificate. There's all sorts of documentary requirements, right? And so that's about a few more months, and then the interview. And we work through that entire process. We work with USCIS and the State Department.
Right. So if you guys need to do any like lawsuit and everything, it's going to be all part of that package or something like that, or it's going to be extra and that's going to be extra. How does that work basically?
So the lawsuit is a separate process. The lawsuit is a separate case. So the main contract is the I-130, everything with a straightforward case, right? USCIS, State Department, prepping for the interview, all of that. But yeah, the lawsuit would be a separate contract.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So okay, so that was about it. So I'll give you guys a call next year then, when I get married, and so I'll just wait for my oath that's it's like couple of weeks, I guess. Or
hopefully, yeah. I mean, they don't do same day ceremonies in Holtzville, so I think it'll just be a matter of a couple of weeks. They get enough people together, and then they'll do it. Hopefully.
And the last piece I would add is actually you don't need to wait till after you get married to get in touch with us. Get in touch with us when you know when it's going to be, when you know what the travel is going to be. And that way we can, that clock is long enough without adding things on to the end of it. We can start gathering documents and evidence so we can file right after the marriage actually happens.
Right. I'm just waiting for my naturalization. Just done with that. Then, yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
Good job, Faisal. See you, buddy.
Right.
I thought he was going to say that they were asking him about that visit visa, if he applied for a visit visa, and I think he said that somebody had already filed for a green card form, and I was worried that maybe he hadn't marked the box that somebody had filed an immigrant visa petition for him.
But it sounds like he did the right thing. It sounds like he disclosed all that if the consular official was asking him about it. And they're almost always, especially if you're from a certain country, certain countries that they like to discriminate against, they're almost always going to deny that visit visa if you have that pending, which is fine if you have that pending. And the worst thing you can do is lie about it to get your visit visa and then find yourself jeopardizing your long-term case. So he did exactly the right thing.
But man, I got to tell you, it's just somebody's trying to beat me over the head, or the viewers over the head, that the stuff you do a long time ago can really come back and get you.
For sure.
It really, it's like never before.
And the ways, I think that's related to that, the way some people do the DS-160, right? They see it as, oh, I'm just applying for a tourist visa, fill, submit. That's a landmine. That thing is a landmine of potential future problems for you.
Yeah, well, Romel says we're looking fresh, so that's very nice of him. But you're right. I mean, I went to the doctor the other day, and it had a bunch of yes/no questions, and I just took my pen and I drew a line all the way through all the no's, right?
Yeah.
And you can't do the DS-160 like that. I think this is gonna be a good video. DS-160 no-nos. That'll be a fun video. One of the things I talked about with the marketing team, and Maho didn't like it, but I sort of like it, is, you know, we do so many success stories. What if we started having like horror immigration story of the week, like train crash of the week? Like, I mean, there's enough, like, and we would never do this, but like if I had a button I could push and like alarm bells went off, you win. You made the biggest mistake of the week.
That idea is just raising my blood pressure hearing about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man, it's been a rough week. Oh, who's on mute? Oh, she's causing trouble. Hoolie's causing trouble. Does she want to come on? I think she wants to come on.
I was gonna say that I'm gonna make like the you're mute, but saying you got a horror story.
You could use the same sirens. Yeah.
Maho said I can't do. Maho said I can't do any of these things because we want to project hope, but we are going to, because I do think people learn from other people's mistakes. Our friend Y Hori said up above that people learn from other people, and I mean, if you've been listening to the show this week, you've learned that you can't just mail it in on a DS-160. You've learned that, you know, you got to be careful picking your attorney. I think that idea about how to evaluate an immigration attorney would be really.
That was a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually asked on the chat, what was the thing that you like most about the show, and all of them, or the majority, answered that they learn a lot about the mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's
so
like,
highlighting mistakes is in and of itself good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other piece of that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
The other piece of that with the DS-160 is all sorts of people hire companies. Like there's lawyers in the U.S. who mess it up. There's notarios. People basically, I think, do a DS-160 for a visit visa, like they're hiring a travel agency to go to the U.S. And you're responsible. I mean, that's another thing. You're legally responsible for everything that's on the form if it is submitted in your name. It doesn't matter if you didn't look at it. Maybe that'll help as a defense on the fringes, but you're responsible for everything that's on that form. And I think people don't always realize that. And that's so key.
A couple of weeks ago,
when they filed, and I'm including myself on it years ago, when we filed this type of documents, we don't take that much of acknowledgement how serious it is, because like it comes then on the future and bite us and say, oh, I didn't care about this and I just put any answer on it, and now it's like bugging me on my process. And that's why it's very important to take serious and reading every single detail of the information that you're writing down.
A couple of weeks ago, somebody told me on the show that that the issue had come up about his misrep. He'd made a misrep, and he said, "Oh, I hired some, company near the embassy to fill it out for me." And he said he disclosed it. They talked about it, and the officer still just went ahead and approved it. And I thought that was great for him, but it's also going to be a landmine when he applies for citizenship, because they would love to go back and say, no, that was wrong, and your green card was wrong, and you've got to start all over. I've seen that happen. So,
Yep.
All right. Well, on that note, and with our friend Huli here, I think we'll go ahead and wrap for today. Our next show is going to be on Sunday. I'm going to do a special Sunday show. I'm doing it, I think, at 12:30 or 1. I figure by then the Jets will already be down 21-0, and I'll have time to do the show. If I do the show, I'm probably gonna have the Jets game on over to the side, so you might hear me cuss, and you might see me in my Jets uniform. Andrew, thanks. This was great. I loved having you on the show.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Huli.